Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the final word on Talking Wolves. Hope you guys are keeping well and safe. Today we've got the final word on Wolves nil, Leicester nil. I'm going to be alongside a number of guests talking about that game and looking ahead to the FA Cup and League clashes with Southampton as well. But lots to jump into today. Hope you guys are keeping well, and of course get your comments in the YouTube comment section as well, and hit the like button. First guest today is Mr. Matt Cooper. Matt, how you keeping, man?
Hello, mate. I'm back out of hiding.
It's nice. Good to see you back, man. How you been?
Yeah, mate. I'm all right. I feel a lot more positive than I did obviously a few weeks ago when everything went down. But yeah, can't complain, mate. How are you?
Yeah, keep it well, man. Keep it well. Just
Good,
tired,
good.
like we just quickly said. Both stayed up watching the American football, the hand egg last night. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but things are slowly improving. I think a little bit of Wolves, getting a couple of decent positive results. Obviously today we're going to be talking about that game against Leicester, 0-0 draw. What were your overall thoughts on the game?
You know what? I actually thought we played all right. Um, if we had chances to win the game, definitely, and it's probably the best we've played for a long time. I think the Arsenal game is it's a bit of a dead rubber, really, because they went down to not 9 men and stuff, and it's not. I don't think it was a true reflection on how well we played.
Yeah.
But I think the Leicester game was more of a test, or a better side, or a side in form, and I think we more than matched them. But it's just we just need to be a little bit more clinical in the final third, because we could have quite easily won that, but we could have quite easily lost it. But I feel like we managed. I feel like we managed the game quite well.
Yeah, I agree. We attacked a little bit more. We looked like we wanted it a little
Yeah.
bit more, and I think it's one of the more positive performances that I'd seen from Wolves in a long time, especially playing with a back five. But I think that's what happens when you've got a natural, a defender, or more or less every player in their right position. Because how good was it to see Johnny back, albeit for 45 minutes, but it felt like he'd never been missing with how well he'd played, really.
Yeah, and he knows that role like the back of his hand, doesn't he? And I think he saw better stuff from Neto because he knew he had a safe pair of hands behind him in Johnny. Like, he was probably communicating to him throughout the game, but it was like he'd never been away. I was a bit, I don't know, bit apprehensive about rushing him back and seeing him start. And when he got brought off at half time, I thought, oh God, like he's
Yeah.
crocked again. But I don't know. I just thought it was a bit strange that they like didn't start Hoover and then bring Johnny on like you would expect. But I know Nuno and the backroom team aren't massive fans of like blooding in a player for the under-23s. To get match fitness, I'd rather
Yeah.
just chuck him into a game.
Yeah, I agree. But I felt he was really, really good and just offered a lot more going forward. He just looked comfortable whenever he was
Yeah.
on the ball. He looks pretty sharp, to be fair. I think, like he looked like he took a little bit of a knock right towards the end of the first half. And when he did get taken off, I was like, oh no. But fingers crossed, it sounds like with what they were saying on social media, it sounds like it was part of the plan. And hopefully we'll see him gain more and more minutes, especially with some busy games coming up. A lot of interesting talk as well yesterday about certain players. It seemed to me that Nelson Semedo seems to be the scapegoat at the moment. A lot of people moaning about his performance yesterday, but if I'm honest, I don't think he was that bad yesterday.
Nah, he's an easy one to have a go at though, isn't he? Like, because of the money they paid for him, and he's in a position where he's not very well protected at all. He's always in a one-on-one situation. And if I'm honest, mate, I feel like every time someone goes one-on-one with him, I'm not confident that he's going to be able to get out of it. But he does give you quite a lot going forward in terms of you get you up the pitch and he takes players on and he commits players. But I can see why fans are a little bit disgruntled with his performances because he costs a lot of money. But I don't think he's played that bad, and I don't think he was that bad against Leicester. And probably in most recent weeks, he's been one of our most consistent performers. But I do get why fans aren't very happy with him. But I think that's kind of caveat with you had Doc last year who he come up with a good returning goals and assists, and Semedo hasn't done that. So I think it's easy to say like, well, he's not doing it because he hasn't scored X, Y, Z.
Yeah, I suppose, but I think the thing is for him, I'm not saying he was world class, but I'm not saying he was dreadful yesterday. I think what he does a lot of good things, but then he balances it out with a couple of stupid things every game. Like yesterday, I think it was in the second half where he controlled the ball and like fell over and gave Leicester the possession back. Obviously against Arsenal, that was just a bit of a poor all round that sort of passage to the goal. But the rest of the game, he was good. But unfortunately for him, that is the thing, the one moment that, costs a goal or costs a huge chance. That's all everyone's going to remember. No one's going to remember you winning the ball back, running up the pitch 20 yards and creating an opportunity, really. So, like you said earlier on, we're not getting the ball really, or not, taking our chances enough. What have you made of Willian Jose's sort of first 3 games in a Wolves shirt?
Oh, all right, yeah. I mean, not much to write home about, but I'm a big fan of Silva anyway. So I've always probably going to side with playing with Silva, but I think it was needed to bring him in. I think it's a good bit of business because we are in grave danger of ruining Silva's career before he even gets to 20. The amount of pressure we're putting on him, and the fee paid for him. But Jose's been okay. I think he struggled against Leicester, but he did well against Arsenal. But I don't know. I think being our number 9 at the minute is a bit of a thankless task because he's so isolated, and the front 3 are so far apart. But I don't know. Listen, he's not going to be as Jimenez replacement, is he? No one will be, but I think he'll be a good stopgap from now to the end of the season. I can see him scoring 5 or 6 goals, but I can't see him pulling up major trees. But it's nice to see that Silva come off. I know he missed that sitter, but he's getting in the positions, and it is a good
sitter or a good save, or both.
I think it's a bit of both, really. I mean, you'd expect your striker to score from there, but Schmeichel's done really well to narrow the angle down and force a save out of him. But yeah, it's
height on it, and I think you're laughing, aren't you? Really?
Everyone says, "Oh, why didn't you dink it and stuff?" But I don't know. I think he's inexperienced, isn't he? You do expect him to score from there, but I see some of the stick he gets on. I've not been on Twitter and stuff, but in the Facebook groups, it's like I just think it's a little bit unwarranted.
I saw a great comparison. Obviously, we've had before talking about the likes of Steve Bull and stuff, and where he was at that age. Harry Kane, he was on loans in League 2 and League 1, scoring a couple of goals a season at 18 years of age.
Yeah,
and I think he's putting in decent performances, doing an okay job. Straight away when he came on yesterday, provided that energy that Willian Jose didn't show. A couple of great link-up passes straight away. Like you say, there is pressure on him, but I think Wolves are happy to give him the chance. The pressure is being put on by the fans and people who can't understand why we paid 35 million for a player for the future investment.
Yeah.
We're not paying 35 million. Times have changed now. You don't pay 35 million to get a player to score you 30 goals straight away. Wolves know why they've paid the 35 million, and it's for the potential that he.
Yeah, I still think it's a little bit inflated, purely because he's obviously renowned in Portugal for being a hot prospect, but he's not one of those hot prospects where they've had a season where they've scored 8 or 9 goals and you pay the 35 mil. I feel like it is a little bit of a Mendes tax on it, but I think there's a really good player in there. I really do like him. He gets into some really good positions, but I think he might lack a little bit of composure. But it'll come. But Wolves need to do a really good job of managing him now because they've got Jose in to alleviate some of the pressure off him. But they still need to keep him featuring in games. But he can't just rest on the shoulders of him because no matter how strong of a character it is, mate, it could really, really crumble him.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good point earlier on by Sam. This has been a big talking point I've seen, especially in the comment section about Adama Traore. Fans react as well. A lot of people are saying different things about him. Sam has said, please talk about Adama. 0 goals, 0 assists. Massive talking point if Wolves are to move forward and win more games. Now, what have your thoughts been, Matt? I know we all know you're a big fan of Adama, but what have your thoughts been on his performances so far this season?
I think he's got better as in the last few weeks. I feel like he did well against Leicester, Arsenal. He is, I don't know, he's so hit and miss, isn't he, at the minute?
I think he's been brilliant last 2 weeks. His work rate has gone up 100%, I think, compared to previous weeks before that.
The frustrations have always been there, though, haven't we? We've always said, it's frustrating because you can see, channels that he can run into and pull people out of position, but he just doesn't do it. I genuinely don't think it's laziness. I just think it's
a lack of created, though. Yeah. He's got a high number. And I said, there was a guy moaning about Adama yesterday, saying, he just runs and then he whips the ball into the box and no one's there. Pedro Neto did the exact same thing yesterday. He ran, got himself in space, put the ball in, no one's there.
Yeah,
I'm saying Pedro Neto's the man of the match, but Adama Traore shouldn't be in the team. What's the balance?
Adama starts every single game for me. I think I saw a post about it the other day, and it's like you look at his goals and assist record, and you think he's absolutely dreadful. But then you watch him play, He's actually a very, very good footballer and very effective. And he got the bit. I mean, Justin did well the first 20 minutes, to be fair
Yeah, he was
to him,
great.
and then
He was
and
great.
then all of a sudden the Dharma just turned it on, and look how many times he was fouled. But we are creating chances. We're putting balls into the box, and his final ball. I don't think it's that bad, but you need someone there to finish the chances. But you look at Neto, like chances created, he's up there with the rest. But what's a chance created? Is it lumping a ball into a box? Like it's one of those stats, isn't it? Where I don't really pay that much attention to. But I think Adama starts every game. I think he's getting better. But I think he really misses Jimenez. Really, really misses that big focal point because he knows he can rely on him. He knows if he puts a ball in the box, Jimenez is going to go there and attack it. And I think what we are really lacking in both boxes is aggression and going to meet a ball and going to attack it. Because if you look at the Vardy chance with Dendoncker, he's got that. So just go and attack the ball. If you get clatters, you're going to get fouled.
Yeah. I felt the passion and the aggression was a little bit more defensively yesterday. I think we showed that a little bit more, and that's what we need. I think hopefully, I know that game against Arsenal, we didn't know it was a win, but against 9 men, you never know how you're going to go into the next game. But it looked like it gave us a little bit of momentum yesterday. I felt we just played a lot better overall yesterday than we have done in previous weeks.
Yeah, and I know obviously I said after the Albion game, like Nuno out and stuff, and I still feel that I think this papers over the cracks a bit, but I now personally don't see the point in changing the manager when if we're going to do it at the end of the season. Like, don't rock the boat too much. I don't think we're going to get pulled into a relegation battle, but the way that we play, it should be safe enough just to be safe and consolidate. Obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if Nuno went at the end of the season, and I think it would be a mutual thing, but. Yeah, the past two games, mate, have been better though, and the Arsenal ones is a strange one. Like they're down to 9 men, and everyone's saying like everyone who dated Martinez, you owe an apology. I'm like, mate, he's playing against like one player in the middle. Like me and Dave could have passed it around each other. But yeah, it has been more positive. But for me, the jury's still out, and these next two games are going to be a real barometer of whether we have turned a corner or we're still stuck in that rut. But for me, that FA Cup game is huge, mate. Like this is such a good opportunity.
What's more important for you, the league win against Southampton or the cup win?
Oh no, the FA Cup, mate. Like if the only way that it's gonna the Nuno like wins me over and be like he's the man for the job is if we win the FA Cup or if we finish like top 8 still. And I think we've got more chance of winning the FA Cup than ever finishing in the top 8. I just really want a bit of silverware. But hopefully with the players coming back and if Jimenez comes back and Bolly and Podence and we're back to fullish fitness by the tail end of the campaign and we're still in it, then I think we could potentially go on and do something special. Hopefully. That's what I'm hoping for. Might top off a pretty shit year, but that'd be great.
Exactly. Well, mate, thanks a lot for jumping on. It's good to see you back, and
yes,
I'm sure to see you on the content.
Yeah, of course, mate.
Future anyway, mate. Nice
one.
I'll chat to you soon.
Take care, fella. See you in a bit.
You too, mate. See you in a bit. Bye bye. Well, big thanks to Matt for jumping on, and it's good to see him back. Obviously, on the videos. Yeah, keep your questions coming in, guys, as well, and let me know your thoughts about the Southampton games. Obviously, we play them back to back now, once in the FA Cup, once in the league. So let us know which one you think is the most important. Should Wolves be going for the win in the FA Cup or the win in the league? Our next guest is Brad. How you keeping, mate?
Good, mate. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. No problem, mate. Sorry to keep you waiting.
No worries.
How you been?
Oh, I've been well, thank you. How you doing yourself?
Yeah, all good, man. All good. Decent game yesterday against Leicester. What did you make of the match?
For the first, I think we started a good start, but I didn't want us to go beat the ball because they've been playing build on that, and then I've got it. And once a done, when we really this season gone as well, considering he's been. I thought he'd...
Yeah, no worries, mate. The audio keeps cutting in and out, so let me see if I can sort that out for you. 1 second. Right. Yeah, hopefully you should be with us still. It keeps cutting out for some reason. Yeah, I caught part of that anyway. But like, obviously, you probably heard me talk to Matt just then. Obviously,
Yeah.
players like Adama and so on, and Semedo getting a little bit of stick after yesterday's game. What did you think? Let's start off with Semedo. What did you think about his performance or how he's been in recent
Um,
weeks?
I do agree with what you and Matt said in the sense he does things right in terms of intercepting the ball, driving us forward. It's a lot better than what Doherty preserved. But when you look at some of the stuff he done against Arsenal and the defending, and he's always just got that bit of frail, like something's frail with him, or there's a mistake in him somewhere. And I think the reason why people get annoyed is because of the fee and the fact he played for a club like Barcelona. They probably expected a real top quality right back, which I think is in him, but he just needs to cut out their real big defensive errors. And I think we've got a really good right back on our hands here. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. To be fair, he shows a lot, in games that he's got all the qualities to be a good right back or a good right wing back. He can drive with the ball, he's quick, but you are right. Like I said to Matt, he just drops every game. He just drops one or two major errors, doesn't he? And I think that just
Yeah.
sort of casts a shadow over the rest of his
It
performance.
undermines him really. Like
Yeah,
against
yeah,
Arsenal, he was great apart from 30 seconds when he gives the ball away. Pepe puts him on his backside and slots a nice goal away, and that's the thing that you'll
yeah.
remember from that game rather than the 5, 6, 7 interceptions that he does.
Yeah, well,
So
same against
it's
Villa as well. He was all right
unfortunate.
against Villa. Give away that last minute penalty,
Yeah,
cost us
he
the
was,
game, doesn't it? So
and we
they're the sort of things. And
yeah
Adama Traore, like I said, I think he's improved massively last couple of weeks. But there were a couple of people on the fans react, a couple of people that I've seen in the comment section just not being happy with his performances this season. What have you made of him recently?
I thought for the first part of the season where he was on the bench and you could tell his head wasn't with it, especially with the big rumours coming from the likes of the Spain and Man City and Liverpool apparently interested. The real big turning point was Brighton when he won that penalty and he ran inside Dan Burn, gave him one hell of a game. And since then, his work rate, he's getting back, helping Semedo now. And I think it's improved Semedo's game as well because he's actually getting some help now from the wing. Whereas
Yeah,
before he was isolated and he always got caught on that ball over the top. And I think
I
Adama, yeah,
agree.
he's
Yeah,
he's
his
starting to
defensive
show.
work rate.
Yeah,
Yeah, his defensive work rate is improved massively. Arsenal and yesterday as well, much better. And it's almost like you say, it's giving Semedo the extra hand. But he looks more hungry on the ball. You saw against
yeah,
Arsenal the way he was sort of taking it past Cedric and Justin. Justin did really well against him first part of the game, but I think longer the game went on, Adama knew sort of how to battle him. It's just that final ball at the moment. And I think a lot of fans, that's what they want to see. Goals, assists from him. They want to see those numbers getting up. He had a decent chance yesterday after Neto's good run. Obviously, he put it onto the
yeah.
into the box for him as well, but it just wasn't to be. Defensively, though, Brad, we switched it back to the back five yesterday. In my opinion, we're probably going to stick with that now, especially with Bolly's out. I don't think we're going to risk seeing possibly a back four again. How did you think that went yesterday? I mean, Johnny was back in there, a natural left-sided defender, Semedo, and then three sort of almost a makeshift back three because you put Dendonka in there as well. But how did you think they got on overall yesterday?
I think at the minute, the way that we've been playing, the back five is probably the best option because I still think with Cody in a back four, we do look a bit shaky still. He just doesn't, it's not natural. Whereas with the back five, yeah, he's not a natural centre back, but sitting as that sweeper, it helps him out a lot more. And I feel like his passing, probably over the next couple of weeks now against Southampton, I think we've got Leeds as well soon. So
Yeah.
that should be a few results that we're looking at. And if we can keep the clean sheet, or if we don't keep it, concede one goal and stay in the game, then why can't we push on? And hopefully, like Matt said, if we could potentially get the top eight, then to me that's a brilliant season considering the circumstances.
Yeah, that'd be huge. I mean, if we can, get a couple of wins now, like you say, there's a couple of winnable games. Southampton have hit a really dodgy run of form. Leeds in there as well. You don't really know when they're going to turn up sometimes as well. So, like you say, a couple of decent positive results for Wolves, and we shoot ourselves straight back up the table. Look a lot different as well. And finally, Willian Jose as well. He's come in, obviously not scored at his Wolves goal yet, but do you think he's contributing enough for you to keep his place as that starting striker at the moment?
I think yesterday I didn't think he done a lot. He didn't really contribute a lot. Fabio Silva come on for 10, 15 minutes and he was quite thought he did well, to be honest. He was the only one that was alive to that chance, and he was possibly the youngest. Him and Hoover were the youngest on the pitch, and to be that intelligent at that age, to be able to react and try and score. I thought he tried to be a bit too clever with his finish, trying to get the near post. I think with time and with patience with him, we've definitely got a real good young striker on our hands. And the fee, everyone says, I know it's a big fee, but the fee's not his fault. It's nothing to do with the fee. He's come and he got that goal against the Albion. He hasn't really played since, but you can tell that he's slowly, gradually getting better. And I think in the next 2 or 3 years, I think we could start to see him scoring more and more goals for us, and hopefully that's the way forward for us.
Yeah, I agree with what you say. His intelligence. I mean, the intelligence for the move against Albion, his intelligence for the run, like you say, he kept himself on side for that chance against Leicester. Just needed that finish, and he would have been a hero again. That could have been a huge goal for him and the club as well. But look, he's working on and off the pitch, and fingers crossed, the next couple of years or so, we see him mature into a top class striker, mate. Brad, it's been fantastic having you on, mate.
Thanks for having me on, mate. Cheers.
Yeah, no worries. I'll chat to you soon. See you later, man.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Cheers, Brad. Big thanks to Brad for jumping on. Moving on to our third guest, guys. We've got loads on today, so keep your questions coming in. We've got Mr. Mark Rhodes. Mark, how you keeping, man?
I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you? Just listening to
well.
Brad. He makes some very, very good points.
I know, yeah.
A lot more than what I could do. I'd just have it. I'd have him on for another 15 minutes, not me.
No, it's a pleasure having you on. If you guys haven't seen, obviously, Mark, you may have seen him before in the past doing little bits and bobs on the TV, and he's got his own Wolves YouTube channel now, Wondering Wolf. So be sure to check them out. Some really good podcasts after the games as well. So be sure to check them out. Mark, how did you think yesterday's game went? It was a win against Arsenal last week, and obviously another point against Leicester and a clean sheet as well.
I think defensively, I think the last 4 games, solid. Conceding 2 goals in 4 games, it's nothing to be sniffed at, really. I know we're struggling, at the top of the park and not converting chances, but I think defensively is where Nuno wants us to be, and the back 5 is definitely the way forward, going forward in the season, especially with Bolly being out. And Brad was completely right when he said, like, I believe transfer-wise, going forward to next season, we need a world-class defender and we need a world-class midfielder. I think if Jimenez comes back, he slots in. If we need to spend the money on Willian Jose, because I think he's a good backup striker. Depends on if he wants to be back up to Jimenez and when Jimenez comes back, because I don't think you can play them as a 2. I think they're too similar. Yeah. But I think we need somebody to take over Moutinho, because I think this might be his swan song of the season. And I also think that Cody, as much as we love him and how much he has done for this club, I think going forward, if we want to be a top 6 club, I don't see him being the future as our centre back.
Yeah, we've seen it in previous years where, especially after that first season under Nuno, we had such a good side, and then there were 3 or 4 players in that first team that didn't even get a look in that first Premier League season. Barry Douglas, who got such a huge amount of goal contributions, was gone. John Ruddy, who was our goalkeeper of the season in that league, was replaced as well. So
Elder Costa,
a couple of players, yeah, exactly. Costa, Cavallero didn't last much longer as well. So they've not held much sentiment for some players. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And I think you are right; those 2 positions really are key for us if we want to go up to that next level. Obviously, I think this season's been a bit of a write-off. We know with the circumstances and the injuries and so on. So if we could keep ourselves safe and possibly go on a little cup run, I think that'd be huge for us. There's a lot of people talk about Fabio Silva. If we sign Willian Jose, you got Jimenez and Jose. What would you do with Silva? Would he be someone you keep around, or would you loan him out? Or
it's really tricky, this one, because I don't want to be like a Silva basher, but I feel as though his age does play a massive part. And Neto a couple of years ago wasn't the player he is. So I think we need to cut him a little bit of slack. Saying that chance that he did miss, you give that to any of the other strikers that we have in our squad, Catrone included, they bury that, and they don't give Schmeichel a chance. Granted, it was a fantastic save, but Silva, for me, he scored a great goal against Albion, took it incredibly well. And I thought then that was the catalyst to him improving his confidence going forward. He's not, he needs to work on his physique, his muscle. Like you see him when he tries to hold up the ball, any defender that's up against him, they just swat him away like a fly. And that doesn't happen with Willian Jose. I feel more comfortable, even though he's not scoring the goals. Whenever he does get the ball, he holds off defenders really well, and he brings other players into it, which I think is really important. So for me, Fabio Silva at the moment is at best a player that you bring on for the last 10 minutes if you're losing the game and you want to play a different style of football.
Yeah, I mean, I was quite surprised with the amount of game time he got yesterday. You know, it was such a close game, and he got a good half an hour. They needed it yesterday, and it was quite surprising that. But like you say, the biggest chance of the game, and you would be expect any sort of height on it. I know a couple of people say he should have dinked it, even if he put his foot through it and got any sort of height on it. You're laughing there. You know, I think you 1-0 up as well. We're looking forward to obviously a double header now against Southampton, FA Cup and League. What's the priority there for you? If Wolves could only win one of those games, I know in an ideal world, and fingers crossed we win both, but is the FA Cup for you something you want to go for, or do you just prefer to put
mate,
on the league?
I think we've probably... I know this sounds absolutely ridiculous, what I'm about to say, but I think we've got enough points now. I'm not even joking. I think the bottom three are so bad that they're going to really, really struggle getting to 27 points. We need 3 more wins to be, in my opinion, mathematically certain. If we don't take the FA Cup as a priority, I think we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot. We're playing a Southampton team that are in worse shape than we have ever been this season. They are having a shocker, and we've got them in the league as well. So I think we've got a really great chance to turn our season around. We've got some very winnable games coming up. Southampton, we're in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. If we beat them, we've got 1 game away from going to Wembley once again and to put it right. And I think for me personally, I put all our eggs in the cup basket because I don't think we're going down, and I don't think we're getting into Europe. So for me, I think we should definitely prioritise the FA Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fully with you. I think I said this, could have been last year or the year before. Obviously, the year we got to the semi-final as a fan, you know, for me, I've never seen Wolves do well in these domestic cups, really. I was still a little bit too young. I know we mentioned it on the quiz we did over on your channel about the FA Cup, the last time, I think it was the quarter-final, semi-final when Wolves were knocked out.
Yeah, it was 1998, yeah.
So, you know, this was the game against Watford was huge, and like the buzz around it was phenomenal. Obviously, the result was different, but if Wolves were able to do that again, you know, fingers crossed, things with the numbers and fans could start going to grounds again by the end of the season. You know, you never know, do you? So that would be absolutely huge, and the buzz. If we could get that momentum and take that even into next season, I think it was Matt that said right at the start of the stream, you know, if you start to get the likes of Bolly, Podence, Jimenez possibly back towards the end of the season, you're going to have such a strong team again. So the FA Cup, I think you are right there. And we're, like you say, we're playing against the Southampton team that are really fragile at the moment. Some big 100%. Defeats and, you know, losing out to a 10-man Newcastle at the
9-man in the end. It was just like they couldn't get the equaliser like against 9 men, and you think to yourself, okay, so we've got a real chance here. I know, you know, home games don't make a massive difference, but it's on our patch, you know what I mean, without fans. But I really do think we've got to go into that quarter-final all guns blazing, because this is our pathway to Europe. Like, if we want to get into Europe next season, which, who knows, we might need to get into Europe to keep the likes of Pedro Neto. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's a player for me that he's elite level. He's 20 years old, and I think in the next 3-4 years we're going to see someone very, very special in that lad. And if we are at a stage where we can keep players like him and obviously build the midfield and the defence going forward, I think we have got a lot of things to be very positive about. I know, you know, transition is a word that's been used a lot, but so true. I think we've been so unlucky with injuries this season. Yeah. You look at the 11 that we could have. That's a top 6 team for me.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, we've never been this unlucky. Under Nuno, especially. We've had little knocks here and there, but to have 3 or 4 of you starting 11 out at the same time, it's really unfortunate. So
Absolutely.
fingers crossed, we get these players back and settle ourselves this season. Hopefully, go on a little nice cup run, and next season hopefully will be the big one. Mark, it's been a pleasure
Fingers
chatting
crossed.
to you once
Thanks,
again,
mate.
mate. I'll hopefully speak to you soon.
Lovely. Nice one, Dave. Always lovely to speak to you. Take it easy. Great
Yeah, you
channel,
too,
by the
mate.
way.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. See
you,
you
mate.
soon. Cheers,
Bye.
mate. Bye-bye. Well, big thanks to Mark. Once again, check out their YouTube channel, Wandering Wolf. Fantastic podcasts on there after the games and some great interviews, one-off interviews, the likes of Tim Spears, Jody Craddock, Steve Bull on there as well. So definitely worth keep your eye on and watching. Move on to our next guest now, Tom Parker. Tom, how you keeping, mate?
Yeah, not too bad.
Man.
It's just looking forward to the Southampton game, really.
Yeah,
It's been a while since we've had a bit of FA Cup excitement.
Bit of FA Cup action. Fingers crossed we can get the win there. But yesterday's game, draw against Leicester, goalless draw, but some chances in there for both teams, mate, weren't there?
Yeah, it was a positive game, to be fair. I thought it was one of the better 0-0s that we've seen Wolves play out. I don't think we've played out that many 0-0s, to be honest, under Nuno. It's good to keep a clean sheet again. I thought the back three were a lot better than what we have seen this season. I thought Max Kilman had a really, really strong game. I know a lot of people were very complimentary about him. I think probably Neto grabbed a lot of the attention, but I thought Kilman was superb. I thought aerially he was really aggressive, combative. He made some important blocks. His positioning was much better than what it was against the Arsenal game, albeit he was actually playing in his preferred position. So it probably made a bit of a difference. But yeah, there was lots of positives to take from that.
Yeah, I mean, it's much more improved from the games that we've seen, and actually playing with a back five and almost looking like we were attacked a little bit more. I know we didn't really create those clear opportunities, but we got the ball. Our wingers and midfielders seemed a lot more positive in the play. Neto and Adama, sometimes we're getting us up 20, 30 yards at the pitch. I mean, we saw that run in the first half by Neto. And even from the corners, Neves at the back post early on in the game probably should have put that chance away. We did have the chances to win the game, didn't we?
Yeah, it's those fine margins, really. And I think that's always been the thing. Sometimes I think in the past few years, one of the things that we've spoke about a lot is being clinical. And we haven't been clinical often enough. Even in previous seasons, I remember doing match reviews and saying, we haven't quite been clinical enough today, or we've had this chance or this chance. I mean, even with Jimenez in the team, sometimes it does take Jimenez maybe 2 chances or 3 chances to score that goal. And I think that that's the difference maybe between us pushing up a bit further up the league. I was gutted for Fabio Silva because a lot of people that have listened to me over the course of the season know I'm a big fan of his, particularly for his movement and his positioning at his age. I think is really clever. He's an intelligent footballer, which is what you want. He always seems to know which spaces to run into, but yeah, he's got to finish that really. And I don't think he had as much of an effect on the game as he would have liked. I thought him and Jose were pretty poor, to be honest. I don't think either of them. I don't think the ball stuck for either of them. I don't think they really got and did anything particularly damaging for Evans and I can't remember who else was playing centre back. Soyuncu, of course, he came back from injury. So yeah, it's I don't know. It's one of those really. We're gonna have to wait and see if Willian Jose sort of melds into the team a little bit better.
I like this comment. Someone, KP, I know he's been slandering Semedo in the chat all stream. Pereira's miles better than Nelson. Mate, I don't think he won one duel with Pedro Neto yesterday.
No,
absolutely.
I put in my player ratings that Pedro Neto absolutely sold him every single time. That left-hand channel is every time he gets in between the centre-back and the full-back so well. And that's, cheers, yeah. Not the best memories in it, let's be honest, but it is one of the best shirts we've released in recent years. What I love about Pedro Neto, and I said this last week as well, is that he's clever with what space to use and when. When he's at full pelt, you'll see he goes either on the outside, depending on who he's facing. So what happens is he'll get past the fullback, centre-back has to come out wide. He then uses that to either go around them or cut back inside between the 2 centre-backs because they're stretched at that point. At that point, we've got runners coming into the box. Not enough, has to be said. We don't get enough players in the box, but he creates those spaces and he knows what spaces to use where and when. It's a bit like Semedo. I know a lot of people might criticise his defensive work, but I think that the way that we're playing him in terms of going forward, I think I really, really like. I said it in my match review as well. Very similar to João Cancelo at Man City. Gets infield a lot, plays almost as an attacking midfielder sometimes, picks up the ball on the edge of the box we see quite often, and he gets shots off. And he works well with Adama in terms of finding space for Adama to go on the outside as well. So there's plenty of positives, to take from both sides, really. I thought Adama and Neto were really good. I think it's just a shame, really, that they didn't get a goal or an assist. And I think some of that comes down to luck. I think Adama's been quite unlucky this season. A lot of his assists came from Jimenez last year, and obviously Jimenez has been injured for most of this season. Obviously, you would say if he wants to be a top winger, he's got to be able to just, create goals and assist players. But we have been missing something as a central focal point, which is what Adama thrives on.
We saw Adama actually. I know a couple of people mentioning that Neto and Traore do get there a lot. I mean, both of them were fantastic yesterday. But I think if anybody's moaning about Traore's performance yesterday,
you've got to moan about
no
Neto.
Final ball. You've got to talk the same about Neto.
Yeah,
Neto did
exactly.
the same runs as Adama, but he still didn't get that final ball. But what I noticed a lot more, especially in the second half, Traore's drifting a lot more centrally and trying, because I think he knew Justin, not every time, but Justin had, did well against him. I think, he sort of drifted more central, picking the ball up in the middle and driving at Chowdhury and so on, who really struggled to cope with him at times as well. But, I said it earlier, with Willy Bolly out, I think we'll be sticking with this back five a lot more. So we're probably not going to be playing with a number 10. So I think that's, to be quite dynamic and move Neto and Adama to drift in and out from the wing and more centrally could be good for Wolves. But there's been a couple, like Matt said earlier on, it's just getting those golden opportunities to our strikers at the moment. Because Jose, in my opinion, he's been all right, but he's not had the opportunity to take the chances. He had two good opportunities against Palace, but I don't remember him missing a clear-cut opportunity as of yet because he's not had the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, I would have liked to, I didn't really say it at the time, but I would have liked to see him take the penalty against Arsenal. Just to get him off the mark. I know Neves is probably our sort of designated penalty taker, but it's one of those really. I think the problem is when we play with the five at the back, like you said, centrally we do have a bit of a gap, because when we play Moutinho and Neves, for example, I think they're far too narrow and they drop back far too easily. Neves was superb again yesterday.
Yeah.
His ball recoveries, his forward passing, everything is just so good. He's
played a booking for about 60 minutes as well. He's counter and break so quickly. It was really good.
For me, Nuno was talking about a loss of identity in terms of getting that on the counter attack. We get that pass off quickly, and I think that's because Neves wasn't playing. He's that player that when we get the ball back, we're so much better in transition with Neves on the pitch, because he has I think for me, he's better than Moutinho at getting his head up and finding a pass forward. I think Moutinho is very much he's a recovery midfielder. He gets the ball back and recycles possession, but Neves is very much that forward thinking central midfielder that we lack sometimes. And when he's not on the pitch, it does make a difference. And I know you mentioned number 10s earlier. Yeah. Interestingly, Gibbs White getting a shout again over Vitinha on the wing, out of position. Do not understand it. Again, I was sort of let down by the substitutions. It was great to see Johnny back, though. I know a lot of people we haven't really mentioned Johnny, but I thought he was really, really solid for his first 45. Fantastic. So good to see him back. And I thought Keanu Hoover wasn't too bad either. But yeah, we're missing that 10. And when we play with the 3, I think it is a good shout to say that Neto and Adama can drift inside sometimes and maybe play a bit narrower and play on the inside channels instead of the outside. So then we maybe don't miss a 10 as much. Because Vitinha, for me, is just such a good player. When he plays, he really has shown glimpses of having real potential.
I'm not sure about Keanu Hoover, though. I know you said you thought he was okay. I thought he was poor when he came on yesterday. I mean, look, we kept a clean sheet, so I can't complain. I just felt he was quite... And this wasn't just him, because there was a couple of players that did it, but I just felt like he was loose in possession every time, and he kept playing himself into trouble towards the end of the game when, Leicester, probably last 10-15 minutes, they put a lot of pressure on us, especially when Vardy come on. He just kept playing himself into trouble a lot when he probably...
Yeah,
He was doing the wrong things. He should have either cleared it in some senses and he sort of carried on dribbling the ball, or panicking to clear it when he had the space to keep the ball. So I think, but again, I was very surprised to see him play on the left rather than swapping Semedo and him over like we've seen previous
yeah,
weeks.
that was the thing for me. I don't understand. I think it's the tactical inconsistency that sort of confused a lot of us with Nuno this season. He sort of goes back on things that have worked and then he keeps trying things that haven't worked. I would have switched Semedo off to the left-hand side, but then would he get the same amount of joy against Pereira as you would against Justin? You never know. Maybe would have got more joy on the left-hand side. It's one of those really, in terms of Nuno has clearly got reservations about switching players on the wing. We very rarely see Pedro Neto and Adama switch as fluidly as, for example, if Pedence and Neto were playing on the wings. We used to see them swap a lot. It was constantly swapping wings, those two, with Fabio Silva in the middle. He would drift out wide sometimes, and then Pedence would come centrally. So I think that we are a lot more robust when we have that Neto, Adama and Jose, because it's a lot more regimented. I think we're a lot more fluid as a front three in terms of rotation when we've got Silva, Neto and Pedence. But yeah, it's a huge blow to have Bolly and Pedence out injured. I think really we should see more of Vitinha. I feel sorry for Gibbs White because he's had a rough time, no fault of his own really. I mean, people were basically just giving him abuse as soon as he re-signed, which for me is just ridiculous. But he hasn't really shown anything near what Vitinha has shown when he's come on. So I think we need to make more use of him really.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of players. Aït-Nouri, obviously, when he comes back, it'll be interesting to see. If I'm honest, if we see him in a Wolves shirt again, if Johnny comes back to full fitness sooner rather than later, Aït-Nouri may not get another opportunity, but likes of him, Vitinha, even Jose, that still a little bit left of the season, but they haven't got long to prove a point if they want to stay at Molineux next year.
Yeah, Aït-Nouri's a strange one, really, because I was really excited when we signed him. I thought, you know what, superb. He's a really good young player. He's got energy. He's got end product from what I'd seen when he was playing for Angers as well. I was more excited for him than Vinagre, but from what we've seen this season, is there much of a difference between the two? Arguably, you could say yes or no. It depends on what you've seen. I mean, for example, me with Keanu Hoover, I don't know whether it's coincidence, but from what I saw in the game, I thought he was okay, but then other people say he was awful. I think it sort of depends on your concentration when it peaks back up during the match. When you're sitting staring at a screen, some people will pick different things up to someone else. Yeah. So, it really is. I mean, you've got Luke saying Vinagre is better. It's a split opinion, really. I think you'll probably find that we're quite split between Vinagre and Aït-Nouri. I'm a bit confused. I was looking at, I know you tweeted out that, Talking Wolves had tweeted out that Rafa Mir got a hat-trick for Huesca in La Liga. And for me, this sort of begs the question as to why we haven't even spoken about him being recalled, but we recalled Catrone, who's been out of form, hasn't really played. We've got a striker who's banging form. He's not scoring every week, but he's getting a decent amount of goals. And he's been pretty good in Spain for a couple of seasons now. He's had some decent goal returns, and he's tall. He's definitely bulked out a lot. He looks a lot stronger than what he did when he first signed for us, albeit he didn't really play that much. I don't know why we haven't called him back, to be honest.
I think he's playing for Huesca. I think he's done all right, to be fair. I think they're bottom of he's done all right, this team, and they're bottom of Spain Spanish league at the moment. But I think they've got an option to buy him. So if teams have got the option to buy, you don't really get that opportunity to recall him. But I think there's a lot of Madrid apparently are interested in, but I think they'll do the old they'll activate that purchase clause and he'll move on straight away to
I get the sort of Morata feeling from him that Real Madrid did with him, where they'd loaned him out to Juventus, was it? Then Juventus,
or
did they send him to Juventus? Exactly. I can see us doing the same thing, which is a shame because I think that he's a good player. Whether he'd be amazing for us, I don't know. Obviously, Nuno clearly didn't see much in him, so we've just got to go by what Nuno says. Really, he knows the players a lot better than us. It was a bit, I thought that was a bit of a strange one, but to be honest, I think if we really if we can get to Wembley again and do well in the FA Cup, and just keep safe. I think we're playing well enough to stay up. I can't see us being that poor that Sheffield United or West Brom or Fulham catch up to us. I could be wrong. They could prove us wrong and have a Leicester sort of, come back, or a West Bromwich Albion great escape. Yeah, they've West Brom have done it before. There's no reason why they can't do it again. Sheffield United, I think, have been very, very unlucky. So things could all of a sudden switch for them as well. It really depends. But yeah, I think we're safe. So I would probably prioritise the FA Cup. Just have a bit of fun.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. Tom, it's been fantastic talking again, mate. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And I'll
you too.
talk to you soon, man.
Awesome.
Cheers, Tom.
Thanks, everyone.
See you in a bit. Yeah, big up to Tom. He's going to be having a video actually out on Talking Walls tomorrow, so keep your eyes out for that one. Lots of comments coming in as well about Ait-Nouri. I know someone said, write him off. To be fair, I just said, I don't think he's going to... He may not have the opportunity again in a Wolves shirt. Because he may not, and I just don't think personally he's done enough this season to warrant Wolves paying 20 million euros for him. But next up, we move on to Mr. Tom Rouse. Tom, how are you keeping, man?
I'm right, thank you. I've just noticed that I've got the wrong webcam on, but never mind.
Go on. Do you want to change it?
No, it's all right. I still look as ugly with the other one.
You all right though?
Yes, I'm feeling pretty good after that result yesterday. I think it was pretty steady 0-0. Bit of progression, I think, from the Arsenal game. And hopefully regaining a little bit of form.
Yeah, I mean, they're a good team, aren't they? Top, third in the league at the moment. To keep a clean sheet against them. And we did create those opportunities, but, on another day, it could have gone either way. But were you happy? Well, it sounds like you're happy with the point. Would you have been disappointed if Wolves had lost that game, seeing as with how it went throughout the 90 minutes?
Yes, I would have been. We didn't create too many chances, but the chances that we did create, we should have put away. There was, I think it's probably the best time for me to talk about Adama now because I've been so critical of him recently. But I think he's probably the man of the match for me yesterday in terms of how much he created and how, he sort of drew lots of fouls. He looked back to what we saw last year, and it was very, very pleasing to see. And he did create one really good chance for Neto at the back post, which I think I don't know what it was with Neto, but he didn't quite catch it in his stride properly enough. But that could have gone into the back of the net easily. And then the key was the wide areas yesterday. And, in no small part, due to having Johnny back, we looked far more balanced on the left-hand side. Neto wasn't... I think it was against Arsenal. He was criticised for not covering Kilman enough. Well, that's not his job. His job is to get forward and to attack, and he could do that because he had Johnny behind him. Second half was a bit different, as you mentioned just now, with Hoover not being. It was. I didn't understand why he'd been brought on at left back and when he played so well at right back previously. But all in all, there's not a lot that we can complain about. Had Vardy's head have gone in at the end of the game, we'd have been very, very annoyed. Even more so because of the chance that Silva had just before. And I don't care how old he is. I don't care what he costs. Any professional striker needs to be putting that away every single time. He went for the wrong side of the goal. He went for the wrong kind of shot. And it just smacked of somebody who's completely devoid of any sort of confidence, really. I don't know if confidence is the right word, because I think maybe in a more experienced striker definitely scores it. But it's just worrying that that's our second striker. And
do you not think it's a good save though, Tom?
He shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a save to make, should he? It should have been the other side of the goal, or he should have been high up. Yeah. You know what Schmeichel's going to do. Just like his dad, he's going to come out and make himself as big as he possibly can. He should have been in the other corner or in the top third of the goal. I think. I don't think it's a good save.
I think any sort of height on it, you are right, it would have been a goal. But I thought he just put it wide. I didn't see the same.
Yeah, same.
The replay, I was fuming about that. But yeah, it's difficult, and it's just the positives I think you can take out of it. He's getting himself in those areas. The timing of the run was great for me. Adama actually left the ball as well when he was in the offside position. I thought it would be sod's law that Adama just whacked that into the back of the net, being 10 yards offside or whatever. But yeah, he came on obviously for Jose. But I mean, I've said it a couple of times already. I was surprised that gave Fabio half an hour in a game that was so tight at the time as well.
I think I didn't understand that either, because it wasn't a game where Jose was not doing anything and he wasn't trying to make things happen. It just wasn't happening for him. The chances that were coming tended to be for the wingers, for the other winger, sort of bypassing him altogether. He was doing the same as he did against Palace and the same as he did against Arsenal, holding the ball up and bringing others into play. Yep. He did that really well. And had he have been given an extra 15, 20 minutes, I think a chance would have revealed itself to him that he would have put away. I think it was really harsh, and well, sort of like, I don't know. I don't understand why he did take him off. Perhaps his rationale might be that he's still bedding Willian into the team a little bit, and he's still learning the system and things like that. And perhaps his fitness isn't quite as good as it needs to be. We don't know.
I know, and there's a lot of discussion about. Or you heard me just then with Tom Parker talking about the future of certain Wolves players. I mean, we've got the FA Cup this week. Is this an opportunity for Nuno to play those players that haven't had much game time, or does he need to go full strength and go for the cup?
Well, there's nothing to lose. Is there on Thursday night, isn't it? Thursday tea time that we're playing.
5:30 p.m. Yeah.
So,
classic kickoff time.
Yeah, exactly. We've got nothing to lose. I'm fearful of Southampton just because of the way that they've played in the last two games. Getting beaten 9-0 wasn't the same as when they got beaten 9 last time. But then to lose 3-2 against 9 men, I think we need to go as strong as we possibly can, because Southampton, a wounded animal, is a very dangerous animal. That's what Southampton are at the minute. They need to be very wary of a really fierce reaction from Southampton. And we need to be at our best, and we will be at our best with experienced players who are playing all the time. I'm actually more worried, I'd rather win the game on Thursday and play a stronger team in the game on Thursday than the one on Sunday, I think.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure you're going to be wanting to do the third version of Buzzing the Word as well, if we can get to Wembley.
I think that was the bad luck that cost us the semi-final last time.
Well, the Europe one as well. I like that one.
Yeah.
But no, it's a huge game. I think a lot of people are leaning more towards the FA Cup. I think everybody almost knows, and this may come back to bite me. I think we all know that we're probably too strong. We're strong enough to not go down as it stands.
Yeah.
I think there are definitely 3 worse teams in the league than us, and there's no reason that we shouldn't be going for this cup. There's some big teams already out, a couple of big teams playing each other in this round as well. We could get a favourable draw in the quarterfinal again, and you're into the last 4. I said this possibly not so much this season, but I was fairly confident at this time last year. I said Wolves would have given any team a good game. When we were in the Europa League, I knew we would have given any team a good game across 2 legs. Even against Sevilla, if we played like that in one of the legs, imagine if we had another leg to go at them a little bit more, So if we can, translate that form into like the FA Cups or whatever, in one-off games, most of our games this season could have gone either way. Most of them, like obviously the United game could have. Spurs game, I know we got the point there. There were so many fine margins, so there's no reason that Wolves can't go for it. And our first domestic trophy in how long? Most of this generation haven't seen us win a piece of silverware like that, really. So,
the only heartbreaking thing will be it'll be behind closed doors, and we'll all be watching separately at home, and it won't be like had we won it in 2019. It won't be anything like that. But I am sort of warming to the idea now of really trying to win the cup. I was quite apathetic towards it a couple of weeks ago because I just thought, well, if I can't be there, it doesn't really happen. It doesn't really matter to me. But like people are saying there in the chat, Europe is a big thing. We haven't had it this year. We've still managed to attract quite a few players, but they're younger players. We get into the Europa League again through the FA Cup, and this is the only way that we can get into it. I think we're something like 14, 15 points off 7th place.
Yeah,
so we can't trust the league at all. We'd have to win every game pretty much to sort of guarantee that, and that's not going to happen. And you're right, we are as good, if not better than 15, 16 teams in this division on our day, and we've had a lot of off days this season, and that's why we are where we are. I don't think we've all of a sudden become a terrible team. Nuno needs to get his tactics spot on, though, in these one-off games. If you make a wrong substitution, like we saw in that cup semi-final a couple of years ago, then the game just sort of ebbs away. We need to win those key moments, and it would be. I think we're far more experienced. We're far. You look back to the Olympiacos second leg, the way we managed that game. We've managed a couple of games this season out really well, but we've also managed some really poor games. Brighton and the Albion. You can't afford to do that in one-off games. But because we're so tight defensively, I could see us taking Southampton to extra time or to penalties and boring the pants off everybody, but getting through. I'm not expecting us to blow Southampton away. And if you think back to the fifth round when we did get to the semi-final against Bristol, that was a really tough game. We only I think it was 1-0. We won. Really tough game. And because Southampton will be thinking exactly the same, they're 2 or 3 wins away from European football in a season that's ebbing away for them. They started off really well, but their options are limited now into a successful season like ours.
Yeah, exactly. Well, looking forward to it. Tom, it's been great to chat once again, mate, and hopefully I'll see you next time. I'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Yeah, see you, Tom. Cheers, mate. Big thanks to Tom for jumping on. Guys, we're moving on to our final guest of the final word now. We've got Mr. Jason Guy. Jason, how you keeping, mate?
I'm all right, mate. You flipping heck. I didn't realise you could see all my eBay stuff in the background. I'm selling.
No, that's right. How you keeping?
All right. I've just been unbelievably busy. Obviously launched the book this week because that got delivered, and I've been playing Postman Pat, so I've had to package over 300 books. It's just gone mental. It's nuts. It's just gone crazy. We've already sent nearly £3,000 to the charities, which is amazing. And obviously Jody Craddock's kindly put a shout out for me because he's got a chapter in the book. Carla Keamy the same, and it's just gone absolutely crazy. So if you haven't got a copy, get one quick. You've got one, haven't you, Dave?
Yeah, it's in the other room actually, but people on Talking Walls, you may well have seen, it was a few weeks ago now, probably about a month ago, I did an interview with Jason about Tales from the Tape, the book, with a lot of stories from ex-Wolves players and members of staff and so on, all off Jason's podcast, the Wolf Whistle podcast. So I'll probably add a link actually in the description for people to check out as well. But talking about the game yesterday, Jason, 0-0 draw against Leicester. How did you think that went for Wolves?
I mean, to be honest, we've got to be realistic, haven't we? And I think before we kicked off, especially the last 2 games, we'd have took 4 points from Arsenal and Leicester. We would. And against Leicester, look, that was always going to be a tough game. 3rd in the league. We know what a force they are. And for me, there were some good individual performances. I mean, I think Neto was just unplayable yesterday. The way he was skipping around the full-back, skipping in between the defenders, he was just incredible. Listen, frustrating for me. I did put a point on Twitter and I got a bit of a hammering for it off a few people, and a few people agreed. The Silva chance. Now, forget the fact he's worth 35 million, or we paid 35 million for him. I've given him a bit of bad press, but I am willing for that lad to score. I'm desperate for him to get on the score sheet. I want him to grab the winner. I want him to be successful. Of course I do. What's frustrating is that chance he had. Some people are saying that the keeper saved it, right?
Yeah.
There's a for and against it. Yes, technically the keeper did save it. From my perspective, I'm just looking at it for any forward, despite being in the Premier League or at any level. If a striker has got a chance like that in the 6-yard box, or the edge of the 6-yard box, you've got to put your money on the striker to score. So for me, yes, we all know what the Schmeichels are like. They come out, they make themselves big. I get it. Listen, put your laces through it. I can see what he tried to do, use a bit of composure and place it into the back of the net. But for me, you've got to put your money on the striker there. And a few people go, oh, you're on his case again. Look, we score that, it's a different game. That's the 77th minute. All of a sudden, Leicester are chasing the game, then they're going to change their game plan. But didn't go in. I want him to score. I hope he does. But it was frustrating. The other frustrating part was the substitution for me, taking Neto off for Morgan Gibbs-White. Once again, I don't think... I'm not going to get on Morgan Gibbs-White back, but I just think Neto, there's always a goal in him. There's, he's a player, he's very similar to Jota. He can get something out of nothing. I personally would have kept Pedro Neto onto the end.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what he did against Chelsea as well. You know, late moments of that game, one counter attack with his pace, his power. You won the game with that sort of opportunity. It was a strange change. I agree with you, and what worries me is that, I mean, it looks like Morgan came on to play wide. For those last few moments. What worries me is that outside of Adama and Neto now, what wingers do we have? What wide players do we have? None. So if he's thinking Morgan Gibbs-White is our backup winger now, we've got to really hope we don't get any injuries, I think, to those wide areas.
Yeah.
Because of how powerful those both Adama and Neto are.
Yeah. And you know, Traore, he can be a little bit inconsistent, we know that. But when he gets a ball into the box, you know, we've just got to have someone on the end of it. And I probably do give Silva more of a hard time than I should. But I think it's a point I made yesterday as well. It's all right saying Silva's one for the future, but I don't think we've particularly got time to wait. Yes, he's been blooded into the game, or into the squad, I should say, earlier than we anticipated. But if you look at the business there, we've sold Jota for 45 million quid, reportedly, who is at the peak of his career at the minute, or the peak of his game. I think he's 24 years of age, 23, 24 years of age. He's at his absolute peak. Was it good business selling him for 45 million? Yes, it was very good business. When you look at the fact we signed him for 12, 15 million quid, we've tripled his value. It's good business. Is it good business when we spend 35 million on Fabio Silva? No, it isn't good business. Look, I want Silva to come good. There's no one more than me who wants Silva to come good. But it's just getting, you know, I just think now we could have invested that money a little bit better. Listen, it could be one for the future. And I hope he is. And people, I mean, I had some bloke coming at me yesterday going, oh, Bully was still working in a factory at 18. What's the point in using analogies like that, for God's sake? Different era, different times, different everything, different players, the lot. You know, let's not compare Fabio Silva to Steve Bull, but let's compare him to the players that we've got rid of to make way for him. That was my opinion on it. But I want him to come good. I want him to score goals. I want him to prove me wrong. But, you know, the jury's still out. But then there's people getting on Willian Jose's back. And I think
after 3 games.
Fucking 3 games. Adam Pulley's time, 1.5 games, and they're getting on his back. The same people who'll give Catroni the next 10 years in a number 9 shirt because we love the song. We've got to be realistic. With Jose, it's true. With Jose, to be fair to him, listen, I'm not going to come on this and say, oh, yeah, Willian Jose, I've done all my research on him. I had not heard of the player. I did see one of his videos on YouTube, and he looks a good player. You know, he does, but I think he's going to need a little bit of time, you know, and I think hopefully when he gets a goal, the rest will follow. I do think he's a little bit similar to Jimenez in terms of, you know, a bit of a target man, scores a variety of different goals. He's got a bit of maturity about him as well. So I'm hoping that you know, he'll come good very, very quickly and get some goals for us.
And FA Cup coming up, is that the priority for you this week, or do you think Wolves need to prioritise that league game against Southampton on Sunday instead?
I think the danger is playing Southampton. They've just got another 9-0 tanking. So, and clubs like that are always particularly dangerous after that. I mean, I think the last time it happened, they did go on a bit of a run of form. They are in a bit of free fall at the minute. I don't think that's going to happen. But back to your question, for me now, can we really do anything in the league? You know, I don't want to focus on the FA Cup, but I think we've got to put more importance into that. It'd be great to have a cup run. It'd be great to get to a quarter-final, semi-final, a final. It would be amazing. I think they need to prioritise. And listen, it's been an indifferent season for a lot of reasons. You know, whether it be a transition season or not. Sorry.
It's all right.
It's all the dust off them new books. Whether it be a transition series. Well, flipping heck day, what you done to me? Right. Whether it be a transition season or not, I just think it's been a bit indifferent. There's been a certain sect of the support base getting on Nuno's back. and he knows. He knows. He's obviously told what goes on social media, and I think a good cup run could change all that. I really, really do, and I hope we do go on a good cup run for Nuno, for us, for everyone, because it has been a bit of a difficult season in the league. We know that for a number of reasons. And one of the reasons, and I stand by this, and it's easy to criticise and say it's the same for every single team in the league. Wolves have got a special fan base when we get behind the players. And I think a packed out Molineux, 28, 29, 30, 31,000 people in that ground, willing them to win, especially on the night games. Listen, that makes a huge, huge difference. You can discount 12 points straight away from the season so far for missing out on the supporters. And I'll stick my neck out and say that, because when Wolves get behind the team, we have got a great fan base. But also, similarly, when we don't get behind the team, it can have a negative effect. But I think with full capacity Molineux this season, we would have been 12 points better off.
The games with fine margins, the Albion game, United games, Spurs game, I think you're right there. We as fans are almost the 12th man. We've seen that so many times under Nuno.
Of course we have.
Almost the fans have dragged them through the matches. Just some of the games now, you could put some goals on Twitter now and they give you goosebumps because you know how much of an impact we had. The Man United game in the cup as well, that was just ridiculous. So I think you're right there. And if we're able to be back in the grounds before the end of the season, if not next season, it's just going to be a huge bonus for us and for Nuno as well. I think
absolutely.
He mentions it so often, doesn't he? I think he's wanting the fans back so much because I think he knows how much of an impact they have.
I think he is, and yes, I get it. It is the same for every club. But some clubs, i.e., I'm not going to pick teams out, for example, but Brighton. Are their supporters going to make a difference like Wolves fans do? I don't think they are now. And Nuno, he's quite right. They are missing the fans. I think the players are missing the fans. And there is a difference as well. You've got to look at some of the results this season, right? Man City, Liverpool, they got a tanking yesterday. I know the keeper made 2 massive howlers, but is that a 4-1 in a packed out Anfield? No, it isn't. It isn't. These are completely different times, and that horrible word, unprecedented. They are. I don't want to piss everyone off now. They are. But I just think that with packed out Molineux, it would have been such the players are going to raise the game. The danger is there's some players who may leave Wolves at the end of the season who will never play in front of a Wolves crowd.
I said that as well. I said that a couple of weeks ago. It's crazy, isn't it? There's a number of players, anyone that's coming on loan this season that we've got an option and we don't trigger that. They've played a full season at Molineux and never had that opportunity. It's crazy to even think, to be fair. So that is mental. Yeah. Well, Jason, it's been great chatting to you once again.
No problem.
We'll speak soon as well. But I'll let you. Are all the books out now? Like the people, the ones that you need to post, or is there even more you need to post?
I've posted over 100 out today. I think I've got to post. I've got another 50 in my boot now, ready to get to the post office first thing in the morning, all packaged up. I tell you what, it's flipping killing me, especially with this baby as well. Baby keeps me awake all night. Then I'm at the post office at 7 a.m. Flipping out. Killing me. Look at the bags under my eyes. I'm only 21.
Well, I'll let you try and get an early night anyway and enjoy the
rest of your need it.
I know. Nice one,
Thank
Jason.
you. Dave, keep up the good work. I know I always keep saying it, but keep up the good work because you all do a great job.
No, thank you very much, Jason. I'll speak to you soon, man.
No problem. See you, buddy.
See you, bye. Well, big thanks to Jason for jumping on, guys. And that was the final word on Wolverhampton Wanderers 0. Leicester 0. I will leave a link to Jason's the link in the description. So if you pop back later on, it's the Wolf Whistle podcast book, the Tales from the Tape. Really good book. I got a copy of Jason earlier last week, so really, really good. And big thanks to the love shown once again on the final word as well. How about the Sace contract, Alfie? I believe we've also got a year option on there, which I'd assume they'll activate, but we may well see him go in the summer. I don't know. And yeah, I mean, life. If you want to jump on, drop me a message on social media and I'll be sure to try and get you on what post office so I can avoid it. But yeah, big up for all the love for tuning in once again. We'll be back for the content this week. We've got a video from Tom Parker coming out tomorrow. We've got the preview for the Southampton FA Cup game, and then all the post-match reaction to that as well. Fingers crossed, Wolves will get into the FA Cup quarter-final, and I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, guys, I'll speak to you all very, very soon. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and see you later.